Hi guys, you like these 3 text effects? Let's do them. Go to the Edit tab. Under the Edit tab, let's go to Effects, toggle this on, click on Effects, bring in the Fusion Comp, drag it to the timeline. Click on the Fusion Comp, Ctrl D, and change it to 10 seconds by typing 10:00. Change, put the playhead on it, and click on the Fusion tab. Now let's drag this media out to the side. Let me zoom in a little. Then I'm going to bring in this text plus node. Let's drag that to the left viewer. Let me drag this partition here. Let's close this effects tab here. And let's see. Good. Now for this text, let's just type Resolve, all caps. Let's change this font to my latest favorite font, Accelera, Be Alt Medium. Let's increase the size. Let's say 0.25. Yeah, something really bold. And I want the text to come from up down here, character by character up here. So that means we're going to use follower. I'm going to right click on this, click on follower. The modify tab will light up. I click on modifiers. Then I go to the delay. I can set it to 2. Then I go to shading, scroll down till we get to position. Then I want it to go down. Notice I'm moving it, it's not moving. It's because this keyframe is not selected. If I select the keyframe and go back to follower and scroll back down to position, if I move it, now shows. So basically it looks like I might have to move it down by 1.5. Then I'll move it back to 0. Basically, yeah. So I can uncheck this keyframe. Why? Because if I right click on this now and I say modify with, most of these are grayed out because there's a keyframe on here. So what I do is I uncheck this keyframe by clicking on it again, right click on this, modify with vector result. Then within vector result, I'll now go here. See, this vector result is doing the wrong distance. So I double click on angle, double click on that. Then let's move it. It's moving horizontally, so I can just go back here and put 90. Then I can go here. So for this origin, set it to 0 for X. For the Y, set it to 0. So it's positioned properly. Set the distance here to 0. So you see it's arranged here. So if I wanted to go down like so, it means I want to go down by, let's just say -1. -1 then to get up here. So I'm just going to go to distance, modify with anim curves. So I wanted to go from -1, which is off the screen. If I add 1 to it, it will now come to 0. So for the length of this comp now, you see it come up like so. Okay, I want it to be faster now. I want it to happen within a few short times. So I'm just going to go here. Let's just type 40. Press enter. Let's play it back and see how fast that goes. That's pretty fast. So I'm just going to go to linear. I click on custom and I go to this. I take this up a little bit like so. I click on this and I take it up a little bit like so. Something like this. So it has this parabolic look. The curve has this parabolic look. So let's play that back. Beautiful. Go here, stop here. So we can get it to now start the second movement from here. So I want when it gets up here, I want it all to contract to the side. So for it to do that, that's tracking. So I'm just going to go back to Tools, tab on the text. If I want it to track, I can drag it down. You see it contracts to the center. I want it to contract to the left. So I'm going to go down to H anchor, click on this particular one here. And then if I now contract it, you see contract to just that left side, which is what we want. So I'm just going to position it properly again by clicking on layout and dragging the X value down to here, somewhere here, like so. So you can leave it at 0.077. Then go back to text. Then for the tracking, I just want the tracking to be like, I think this here is good enough, like so. So let's just say 0.85. Okay, 0.85 is fine. I'm going to right click on tracking, modify with anim curves. Then I go to modifiers. I set the ease in here to sine, ease out to sine. Then the scale, I want it to be from 1, and I want it to get to 0.85. That's going to be 0 minus 0.15. And I want this to happen, let's say 32. But I want it to now happen at frame 20. And the total number of frames for this composition is actually 240. So it's going to be 20 divided by 240. So if you now play this back, let's see how it looks. Good. So now we have the makings of what we want. But you'll see that it doesn't really show that they are on top of the other. So to create that illusion, you click on the text again, go to tools, go to shading, then under type, change that to gradient. You see it goes to black. I'll go to mapping angle and set this to 90. So it looks like what we want. Then we click on this white part of it. This value for 1 here, set it to 0.5. So there's more of the white, then this looks like it's just a shadow. Now for this black, set the alpha to 0, so it's transparent. You'll see why I'm doing this subsequently. So to recreate that black thing that should be here, I'm going to copy this text, right click on an empty part of the node grid and click paste instance. Now for this instance, I'm going to drag that to the right viewer, and I'm going to go to shading. I'm going to right click on this type here and de-instance it and click on solid. Then I'm going to right click on any one of the colors here and click on the instance color group. Then I can change this color to black. Notice it's not affecting the original one. Then I'll bring in a merge node and connect this to the background of the merge node and connect this to the foreground of the merge node. If you drag this to the left viewer, you see we have that shadow now there. But I want a situation where I can change the color from this white regardless of, and I do not want it to affect this one. So what I'll do for this is I'll press Shift Spacebar and bring in a node called Color Gain. This node here, Color Gain. Add that in here. Now for this Color Gain, to change the color, I'll just go to the Gain tab here, and if I reduce green, I reduce blue, you see red is the one that we have here. So I can use these sliders here up to 1 to change the color to whatever it is I want, and then I still retain the shadow bit. Okay, let's leave it for now at red, or better still, let's leave it at green. I think I like green. Yeah, green, like so. We have what we want basically. So if we play this back, you'll see we have this, but you see the shadow is already there. I don't want the shadow there until it's about to collapse on itself. So I'm going to click on this text again, right click on it, make a copy, click on this part here, right click on this and paste an instance of it. And for this instance, let's drag that to the right viewer. I want to go to shading, right click on this type here, de-instance it, and click on solid. So we have that solid thing going there. Then we copy this color gain, copy, We right click on here, paste instance. We connect this instance text to the color gain. Let's drag that to the right viewer so we have the same color here. Then we bring a merge node. Click on here, connect this to the foreground of this merge node and connect the output here to the background of this merge node. So I'm going to drag this merge node here. You'll see that regardless of the animation, we don't see this. I want this blend to from 1, I want it to drop to 0. So I'm going to right click on blend, modify with anim curves, go to modifiers. Notice that this collapse starts from frame 20. So I'm just going to go here, 20 divided by 240. That's when this will start. And I want it to have 40 as the time scale. I want it to go from 1 to 0, which is 1 to -1. Then I want the easing to be sine and sine. So let's see how that looks. On the right viewer, watch the right viewer. It looks like it's happening a little too fast. So I'm just going to go to this and just set this to maybe 22 divided by 240. And let's play it back. Aha, that looks sweet. But you will now notice that we can use this as a template, copy all this and make it into a template, and we just type the text in and we can change the colors. But the challenge with this is that this E should actually be the full color, not shaded. So we can't really make it into a template if we want this E to be full color. So to make that E full color, I'm going to copy this text again, paste that here, paste an instance of it. Now for this text here, I'm going to right click on here and click on the instance and right click on this and insert character level styling. Then I'm going to go select all this except the E, go to modifiers. Then I want to change the color to black and click OK. It's not changing. Do you know why it's not changing? Because I should have made a change here. So I go to shading, I right click on this and de-instance it, then I click on solid. So it now changes. So now I go back to the modifiers and I go to shading under that modifier. I now drop the alpha of that black to 0. I bring in a merge node here. I put this on the foreground of this merge node and put this on the background of this merge node and connect this to media out. So if I pull this media out here and I now also copy this color gain, copy this, click on here, paste instance, connect this to the instance of the color gain and connect this color gain to this merge 3. And then if we now go here, make it a single viewer, drag the media out here, you'll see we've done this effect. So, and that's it. I can send you this settings file. It can't be a template because of this final part. Why? Because if it will work for any text that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. It will only work for any word that is 7 characters. Anything less, anything more, it will break apart. But if we ignore the fact that if we want it to just be this way, it's a reusable template we can use. But this E will have this shadow thing on it. If that is not a problem, I have a template attached. If you want the one that has this E, the right color, I also have the settings file attached, so you can use whichever one you want. On to the next effect. Let's go to the timeline. Let's bring in another fusion comp. Go to effects, bring in the fusion comp, click on it, Control D, 10 seconds, put the playhead on it, and click on fusion tab. Let's drag the media out here. Now for this one, we're going to bring in, let's click on an empty part, shift spacebar, bring in an sRectangle. node. Let's drag that to the left viewer. Let's make it dual viewers. Expand that. Okay. Let's bring this here. Now for this sRectangular mask, I'm going to leave the width as is, but the height I'm going to set it to 0.06. I can go here, bring in an S transform node, and then I'm going to bring in shift spacebar extrude 3D. Let's just give it a depth of 0.1. Let's drag that to the viewer. Hold down shift and move it around to see how deep it is. Then the bevel width, you can set it as 0.01. Bevel width and bevel depth 0.01. Then we go to custom. Let's just do what we usually do. Click on that part, drag that up here. Click on here and then drag this down here. Need to move this up just a little bit. Yeah, like so. Select both of these, press F on the keyboard. Hold down Alt as you drag this so it maintains a straight line. Click on there, still holding down Alt, and drag it down there. Then click on here, drag this to be straight here. Click on here, drag this to be straight here. Let's click on this to see how it looks. Bring in a text 3D node. Let's type resolve. Now for this rectangle mask, let me just give it a color. Go to style under inspector. Let me just give it a color. Let me see. I think I like this color. Click on that, and then we have this pinkish fuchsia looking color. Let's just reduce the extrude a little bit, the extrusion depth. So I'm looking at this view here, so I'm reducing it. So that looks a bit better. Let's just say 0.15. Then we bring in a merge 3D node, connect the text 3D to the merge 3D, and the extrude 3D to the merge 3D. So I drag this to the right viewer. We have the resolve is really unreasonably larger than the stuff there. So I'm going to go to the text 3D and drop the size to 0.15 and see how that looks. Holding down Control, I zoom in, and then I hold down Shift, see how that looks. For this sRectangle, we go to Controls, the radius, let's just set it to 0.15, so it has this curved edge thing. Now for this text, I go to Extrusion, sorry for the up and down. Extrusion, I'm going to set this to, let's say 0.075. Then I go scroll down, I go to transform, I move it forward just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Holding down shift, I rotate this to the side so I can see the distance between them. Then I just go back here. Let's just reduce this to 1. Okay, I think that sits perfectly on there. So I just hold down shift, rotate it back, and let's pull the text down a little bit. Let's reduce the size a little bit more. In fact, let's just change the font to what I like. Accelera my font, be alt medium. Let's just reduce the size. It's too much, like so. That looks good. So 5. Okay, so we pull it up just a little bit. Then we make sure it's the H anchor is left, like so, and drag that to here. That way, if you type text, it just starts from here and continues forward. Let's reduce it a bit more. 6, 5. Transform, pull it up a little bit. I need to increase the extrusion of this text a little bit. So I'm just going to go here and make it 0.85. So let's hold down shift and turn it around and see. Okay, good. Now we have this look. Let's click on lights and shading to see how it looks. Looking sweet. Let's go to the bevel depth and width. Let's just make it 0.01. 0.01, and I want the bevel to just be in front. I don't want any at the back. You can just leave it the way it is now. No need to, or we can just go to custom and select all of this, flatten it, and we go back. So now we have the resolve text and everything. I think I want to reduce the size of the text just a little bit more. Yeah, something like this. So I'm going to go, I want the tracking to be probably around 1.2, like so. And then I want it to contract back to 1. So I'm going to right click on tracking, but I want the animation for this to start around frame 20. Okay, note that. Right click on tracking, modify with anim curves. This lights up, click on modifier. So I want it to start from what? 1.2, and I want to reduce to 1. So it means I'm going to subtract 0.2 from it. But I also want it to start from frame 20. So it's going to be 20 divided by 240, which is the length of this comp. Then I want it to happen in maybe about 20 seconds. So if I want it to happen within 20 seconds, it's going to be 240 divided by 20. So 12. So if I go back here and play it back, we'll see we have this, but it's increasing. This should have been minus here, minus. I'm going to go here and make easing, sine, uncheck mirror. I don't know why I checked that. So we see this happen like so. Okay, I want this whole box and resolve now to rotate in. So I'm going to, between here and here, I'm going to bring in a transform 3D. Let's pull this forward a bit more. Let's drag that to the viewer. So I want, for this transform 3D, I want the X to rotate like so, to be 90 degrees. So it'll be minus 90 degrees. Then from minus 90 degrees, it's going to come down to 0. So that will start from the actual beginning of the comp. So I'm going to right click on this X, modify with anim curves, go to modifiers. So it's going to start from what? Minus 90. And I want it to be 0 to be plus 90. I want to start from the beginning of the comp, and I want it to happen in maybe 30. So I'm going to make it like 240 divided by 30. It's going to be 8. Then let's make it ease-in. The ease-in should be sine, and the ease-out should be sine. So if we look at this now, we'll see it comes like so. So we need to now do for the opacity of the text. So I'm going to right click on opacity, modify with anim curves. So I want a situation where the text does not show at the beginning but shows like 15 seconds in. Okay, then we go here, then we set the easing, in and out sign. We want it to start from, let's say, frame 10. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to say 10 divided by 240, which is the total number of frames here. Then I want it to finish up in like maybe 20 seconds. So I'm just going to go here and say 240 divided by 20. So if we now go back here and play it back, we see we have this, which is cool. Let's move in. Let's just arrange this a little bit better, like so. Move this here so it's a bit more compact. Shift spacebar, bring in a merge 3D node, this node here. Add it. Connect this to the merge 3D. Then add shift spacebar, bring in a renderer 3D node. Then connect this to media out. Then drag media out to the right viewer. It's a bit small, so we go to this transform, we go to the Z value, we type 1.321, so it's big. Then we go to this renderer 3D to change it to hardware renderer and pick lighting. Now we need to add lighting on this. We just click on an empty part of the screen and press shift spacebar, bring in a directional light, connect the directional light to merge 3D. Now we go to the transform for the directional light. We type 30 for X rotation, 30 for Y rotation, minus 30 for Z. So I want it to move from this edge here down to this edge here in by the middle point here. So that's from, let me see, from this is around minus 100 to 20. So I right click on this, modify with anim curves, we go to modifiers. So we want it to start from minus 100 to 20. That's 120. And we want this to happen in twice the time length of the comp. So we put time scale twice, and it starts from the beginning. Then we go here, sine, set the ease into sine, ease out to sine. And so if we go back here, you see we have this like so. So I want this tracking to happen a bit faster. So I'm going to go to the text, go to the character spacing. Instead of it to start by frame 20, I want it to start from frame 10. So it's going to be 10 divided by 240 frames. So if we play this back now, you see we have that's better. And I want the tracking to last a little longer. So I'm just going to put this like 8. So if I go back here and I play this back. In fact, let's just make it 4, the time scale, make it 4. I think I want it to still be moving by the time the thing lands. Like so. Like so. That's pretty nifty. Now the next thing, we want it to rotate a little bit when it does that thing. So I'm going to go to transform. Go to tools, the Z value, I'm going to right click on it, modify with anim curves. Then we go to modifiers and we put this scale at -5 and we click on mirror. We go here and pick ease in, we pick sine, ease in, sine, ease out. Then we set this to, let's set this to 8 and let's see how that looks. Comes in and like, oh, beautiful. That's beautiful stuff. So that looks good. The next thing we do is we don't want it to, like here it's just there showing. We don't want it to show at the beginning. So I'm going to go here, extend this just a little bit. I'm going to press shift space bar, bring in a dissolve node, connect this to the yellow input and connect this to the media out. Let's drag it in place. Let's bring in a background node. For this background node, drop the alpha to 0. You see that here. And we connect the background node to the foreground of this dissolve. Then we bring in a mask, rectangle mask node. Connect this mask node to the mask input of the dissolve. Let's drag the mask to the left viewer. I want the height to be 1, the width to be 1.2, and the soft edge, make it 0.1. I want to show where at the beginning this is showing. Let me drag this to the viewer. You see nothing is showing. So towards the end, if I move this X value like so, you see it appears. So I'm going to right click on the value here and modify with vector result. Go to modifiers. I'll drag this and see. I want it to completely go off. That line is completely go off the screen. So I think 1.25. does it. So it's 0 to 1.25. So I'm going to right click on the distance, modify with anim curves. I'm going to go here, ease in, make it sine, and I want it to go from 0 to 1.25. The time scale, I want it to happen within maybe 30 frames. So it will be 240 divided by 30. And then the time offset sharpen at the beginning. Let's see how this looks. So if we go to the beginning and we play it back. Let me click outside of here. I just want to see it without all that distraction. I go to this transform. Let's go to modifiers. I want the X rotation to be a little slower. So let's make it 4. Let me see how that looks. Okay, just a little faster so I can divide that. Let's make it 6. Let's see. Okay, that's it. And that's it for this other text. It's a bit involving, this particular one, but this is basically the whole node tree for it. You can change the text, you can change the width of the rectangle. I'll make preset of it for you to use and download and all, but it's pretty straightforward stuff. Then if I now want a situation where, you know, this like this, it comes, and I want a situation where in the middle it goes back up. I'm just gonna go, let's rearrange things a little bit. Let me drag this down here. Oops. Let's drag this down here. Drag this down here. Then we bring this here. Then we bring this here. Then we bring this here. So I'm going to create some space in here. Shift spacebar, bring in a dissolve node. Connect to the dissolve node and connect the dissolve to the media out. Shift spacebar, bring in a time speed node. Add and connect this to the time speed node and connect the time speed node to the foreground. Now for this time speed node, I'm going to set the speed to -1. So this reverses the footage. So if I drag this to the left viewer and I play it from here, you'll see it reverses all the animation like so. If I'm dragging it forward, you see that? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go to this dissolve. And if I go here and drag this dissolve to the right viewer, see this, if it's 0, it picks the forward animation. If it's on the foreground, it picks the reverse animation. So I'm going to go to dissolve and right click on it and click expression. I'll type this expression, IIF time, which is the number of frames as it goes forward, divided by comp.render end. This is the size of the comp itself. So the total is 208 divided by 240. If it is greater than half, which is 0.5, then this value here should be 1, else it should be 0. Press enter. So if we drag media out here, you'll see that if we play it from the beginning now, it comes like so. Then you see this light move, which was what we did for the directional light there. And then light moves back again and it goes back up like so. All right, so that's it for this second text. So we bring in the Fusion comp, click on it again, Control D, make it a 10-second clip. Oops. Put the playhead on it, go to the Fusion tab, drag media out to the right, bring in a text 3D, caps lock, press type resolve, change the font to Accelera, B Alt, medium. You can use any font you want. Let's drag this to the left viewer. I'm going to change the size of the text to, let's say, 0.5. Then the extrude, let's set that to a large amount. Let's set to 1 altogether. Turn on lights and shading. Then we bring in an image plane node. Shift space bar, image plane node, this image plane, add, drag this to the left viewer. Then bring in a merge 3D node, shift spacebar, merge 3D, click on merge 3D, add, connect the text 3D to merge 3D and image plane 3D to merge 3D. Drag this to the right viewer. Let's click on lights and shading. We go to the image plane, we increased it by a lot. We go to the transform tab of the image plane. On this scale, let's just type 10. So it fills up everything. If we hold down shift and rotate around this viewport, you see the text sits perfectly on the plane. Let's go and bring in a renderer 3D node. And let's connect this to the renderer 3D node. Let's drag that to the right viewer. Nothing shows. We bring in a merge 3D node. It's when it changes color, drop it in there, it's connected. And then we bring in a spotlight. This is just to set up everything. Connect the spotlight to the Merge 3D, go to the renderer 3D, change it to hardware renderer, then click on lighting and shadow. Now for this spotlight, you go to the transform tab, set the Y value to -3, set the Z value to 1.5, and set the X value to 50. So we have this. But we go to the controls for the spotlight and increase the cone angle to 90. So you see we have the makings of what we want. But this text is kind of up there. So I'm going to go to the text, go to layout, and drag this down a bit so it's kind of centered. See? You need to drag it down just a little bit more. Okay, so that looks more like it. Then we go to, we animate the text, because what we want to do is we click on this text now, and I go to transform. Let's go to this transform, and I hold this back like so. As I move it in, the shadow contracts, right? Then move it out. So what I want is to show where it goes like so, it goes like this. All right. So I'm going to go to double click on this to set it to what it was. Go to the text, and I want it to happen letter by letter. So I'm going to go to the text, right click on the text, click on follower, and I go to modifiers. I set this delay to, let's set it to like 6, let's say 8. Then go to shading. Under shading, scroll down to position the offset Z. I right click on the offset Z and modify with anim curves. Under anim curves, I change the curve to easing, sine. I want it to mirror it. You'll see what I'm doing very soon. Then the scale, I want it to be -1. Then I want it to just come out by 0.25. So if I do that and I make this like 4. So if I play this back, you'll see what I'm doing. If I click on this now, you see the arrow comes out, resolve comes out. Beautiful stuff. This is sick stuff, guys. Sick stuff. Anyway, so we have this coming. Let me just go back here, and it's playing in near real time, really. Beautiful stuff. Now I want mad to come up first before resolve comes up. So I'm going to copy this, then paste a copy of it here and connect this here. Then for this particular text, I'm going to change this to mad, like so, but I don't want to use the same typeface. I'm going to click on this, look for something cursive. I like this, which is Amarillo. I click on it. I don't change the size. Maybe I change it just a little bit. Let's say 0.45. Then we drag this up. Okay, so 0.45. Then I want this to happen after this happens, because both of them happen at the same time. Now, if I play this back, you'll see what I mean. If I play this back now, it's the beginning, play it back, both of them show at the same time, which is not what we want. So I want the math to show first before resolve. So I'm going to go to resolve, go to the modifiers, go to the anim curves. I want this one to start, let's say 0.2 in. So we go here and play it back. You see math comes out first, then resolve now comes out. Beautiful stuff. Let's play it back again. But look at the shadow. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. Pause. The shadow is not very good. So we're going to make a little change. Go to spotlight. Under shadow, see this shadow map size? Connect it, drag it to the maximum. It will make your render a little slow, but it will make the shadow a little nicer. So if you go back to the beginning and play it back, see we have this, then we have Resolve coming out. You see it's rendering a little slower, but this is better. Now that's the end of the text effect, but I want to show you something we can do. We can use this for practically any surface, video or still. So if I stop this now, I move this forward a bit, I can move all this back too. Then I can go to media pool. I think I pulled in an image. Let's drag this here. If I drag this to this left viewer, let me close the media pool. We have this image here. Let me just put resize in front of it so it's sized correctly. Shift spacebar, resize, and drag this to the right viewer. It's perfectly sized now. And I click on this Merge 3D. I press Shift spacebar, bring in a Replace Material 3D, and connect this to the Replace Material 3D. You see, it's not looking correct just yet. Let's drag this forward a bit. Then between here and here, let's bring in UV map 3D. Add that. Now for the UV map, we'll just go and pick Z, fit, center. And if we now play this back, you'll see that it fits perfectly with this surface. And that's how you can use this effect on any image or video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's sick stuff. Let me make it a single viewer. Let's drag this down so we get to see. And you see that the node tree is very small. Let's connect this to media out. But it's really sick what you can do with very few nodes and a little imagination. Let's go to the beginning again and play it back. Beautiful stuff, guys. Okay, so that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.